So, Xalavier Nelson Jr., our first lightning talk of the day. Very excited to have you.
It's an honor to be here. Thanks.
Yeah. I think that since it's lightning talks and they're pretty fast, I'll let you introduce yourself. But yeah, go ahead and take the floor. I'm looking forward to seeing some dogs.
Oh, I've got so many good dog pictures in here. I can't wait to tell you about these dogs. Hello, everyone. My name is Xalavier Nelson Jr. I'm a narrative director. I'm a writer. I do so many things. I've done so many things. I don't know how. You might know me from my work on An Airport for Aliens Currently Run by Dogs, which is a project that I'm directing that I can currently talk about. I'm the narrative director on Skatebird. I've worked on Hypno Space Outlaws, narrative lead on that. Contributed to Frog Fractions and We Are the Caretakers and Dead End Job, and just a whole bunch of games. Over 4 dozen? Over 40. It's been a lot. I was a journalist for a while. Wrote for pretty much every outlet you can think of. Wrote in print for 2 years as a columnist. I've contributed to tabletop stuff, made an RPG system. I write comics these days that people really like. In the before times, I would go to events around the world and run weird games where I'd wear Jeff Goldblum's face in ways that aren't creepy, or at least that I'll say aren't creepy, and give talks and do panels and so on. And now I get to be at Roguelike Celebration, polymorphing. This is the next evolution. It's so exciting. Thank you for having me. And this talk is titled Procedural Generation for Dogs, because that's Bribe Dog over there, and he's adorable. And he's from An Airport for Aliens Currently Run by Dogs, and he deserves to be arrested for his crimes. We're talking about procedural generation for dogs specifically because An Airport for Aliens Currently Run by Dogs actually uses a lot of procedural generation. Airports are fascinating spaces because they are places that have so much standardized and unique aspects to them that you can totally not care about if it is not aligning with your personal goals. If your gate is at B6, you don't care what's in Terminal A or Terminal C. You're going past them directly. You could say that you're B-lining. So making spaces that have a deep sense of unique content and cool stuff with presentation that is randomized and different for every player, especially because their own journey through the game is going to define what they encounter, is at the heart of what it is. It means procedural generation is a fantastic tool, but you might not expect me to be the person doing a deeply procedurally generated game because the very concept of procedural generation terrifies me. I believe it should terrify anyone, reasonably speaking. Why? Mainly because of the speakers and exhibitors of Roguelike Celebration, present and past. So many people are doing such incredible, complicated, mind-blowing work in this space. For a long time, I totally discarded the concept that procedural generation was for people like me. I'd hear people talk about like their corpuses and simulating human beings and making civilizations and universes and people and poetry from scraps of words and language and grammar simulated on deep level. And I just go like, yeah, I know what games are. I know what games are, I promise. But then I realized that from the term procedural generation even, we see a couple of different routes to pursue a fundamental design concept. You can simulate entire civilizations. You can create continents worth of unique and emotionally varying content from black magic composed of words and numbers. Or look at the two words, procedural and generation. Procedure meaning according to a set of rules, according to a procedure. Generation meaning making stuff according to a set of rules. That could be all of that, or it could be picking stuff from a list. I understand lists. They speak to me on a deep and spiritual level. And I'm starting to understand that lists are just as valid an approach to the eternal question of, hey, let's make a whole bunch of really cool, weird stuff with procedural generation as these much more complicated, deeply impressive examples that we see in games super often. And the key to understanding the difference in design, to being able to use procedural design, which I think is a fundamental design tool for any game creator, is understanding how it differs from the typical development approach. When you're looking at something like a dwarf fortress and you see the utter scope of that world, you think, wow, yeah, procedural generation isn't for me. Until you realize that it isn't making an entire civilization from day one. That's terrifying. Most people haven't managed to do it. The people who have managed to do it, you could argue, probably shouldn't have done that. Making a civilization in a single day is a foolhardy act built from hubris. You aren't building a house from scratch in a single day. What you're doing is making the pieces of the house. You're making the windows and the doors and the garage, and you could make increasingly complex and atomized versions of these things. Make sure all the pieces match when you generate them, for example. There's escalating degrees of complexity for any kind of procedural generation and design. Or you could have a list, just a whole bunch of boxes, and you just throw them in a box and everything is cool. This dog thinks that pieces of houses are cool. Also thinks that houses are cool. Also thinks everybody should have a place to live. This dog is a bit of a radical. I believe in him. I love him. I hope that y'all do too. And when I realized that procedural generation comes not from having to deal with this giant content burden from the off, but instead relied on thinking of design in modular pieces. How do all of these elements come together to create a greater whole? It changed the way I see game development utterly. It made me believe that I could be a game developer because that's the way my brain already works. And so you end up with things like the Badogstrian system. It's a very simple and silly example of procedural generation used in an airport for aliens currently run by dogs. I'm very proud of it. And yeah, it looks like I'm creating bioorganic abominations on a daily basis, but I promise I'm not. I promise I'm not. So the way the Badogstrian system works is, again, coming from the principle that airports are built on unique aspects presented in strange and evolving ways based off of your own personal journey and priorities at any given moment. I knew that these airports had to be filled with creatures and figures and characters. And the way that we fill these airports is Badogstrians. Get it? Like pedestrians, but they're dogs. So as you can see at the very right side of the screen, we attach a small script to the Badogstrians that chooses from a list. So you have normal Badogstrians, you have Badogstri elves, which are elves. You have Panoirstrians, who have grayscale models and cool hats. You have Pabuffstrians, which are super buff and existentially terrifying. If you ever wanted to consider a dog with giant buff arms saying that they love you and encouraging you to live your best life. And then you have Emptystrians, which creates just an empty object. Nothing gets spawned there, and that way we can actually, in a very basic way, simulate the flow of populations in an airport. Coming to an airport, finding it very empty very early in the morning is something possible through this system. And when we take these things, again, built in pieces, all we're doing is, as much as this accomplishes, all we're really doing is picking an object from a list, and then that object is picking two more things from two different lists. The line that they say and the thing that says that line. It can be a grayscale picture of a dog. It can be a really enthusiastic picture of a dog. We don't know. And again, going off of how modular and procedural design works, it's the combination of these things that produces things like this beautiful buddy, this beautiful, oddly thoughtful buddy who says, every time I lift a weight, I think about my folks and the weights they lifted to get me here. Important stuff, man. It does that at the moment you press play, dozens of times across the entire airport for as long as you play. Potentially infinite variety, but especially potentially infinite situations and context to inject meaning into. procedural generation isn't just about building universes necessarily. It isn't just about building houses. It is about creating contexts, endless amount of contexts for people to find their own meaning in. Even if you don't believe that procedural generation is for you, it's a fundamental tool. It's actually really simple, and it is indeed for you. This dog believes in you, and so do I. And that's how I'm using procedural generation for dogs, because dogs are the essence of optimism and enthusiasm projected into a complicated world. What encapsulates that more brilliantly than procedural generation itself? It turns out all dogs are procedurally generated. You're welcome. Thank you so much for watching. Thank you so much for attending Roguelike Celebration. It's an honor to be able to kick off today. I've been Zolliver Nelson Jr. talking about dogs and procedural generation. Arrest, bribe, dog for his crimes. And thank you so much for watching.
Thank you so much. That's just wow. Wow. I can't decide if I should be clapping or crying or laughing. It's too many emotions for first thing in the morning self here.
Procedurally generated emotions are a lot to take in. Just accept them, ride the wave.
Yeah, I'm rolling on the list and I'm just getting a lot of feelings very quickly. Wow. Okay. Thank you so much. I think that we'll move on just because, lightning talks go fast, but that was excellent. Thank you so much for joining us this year, and I hope that people can find you in the space and take confidence. I know that I feel much better about myself knowing that the dog believes in me.
Thank you so much. Yeah, dogs believe in you in general. They're fantastic animals. And it's so great to participate in everything that Roguelike Celebration is. Such an honor. Thank you.
All right. Thank you.